Calling All Platforms is a production of Supporter Sound Studios. To learn more about how you can support the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/callingallplatforms.
Now, into the ticket office of Disneyland. Oh boy, let's do this.
Don't think the CIA is going to be trying to hack your second-gen iPod.
I didn't think so. There might have been a lot of illegal music on there. I wouldn't doubt it. But, I mean,
because that would be stupid.
iTunes is a constant source of embarrassment.
I approve this measure.
I really don't see Apple ever doing that. I am Nadella.
I can't do it anymore without laughing. I was going to do the whole thing.
Welcome, everybody, to the Calling All Platforms Tech Podcast. Well, just Calling All Platforms Podcast. Man, it has been a long time since I have called it the Tech Podcast.
It's been a long time since anyone's called it the Tech Podcast.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I hosted. Anyways, I am your host, Caleb, and I'm here with Landon.
Hello.
And an empty seat to my left, where Wes is not sitting because he is evidently sick again.
I think it's more of a still.
Still? Yeah, that's probably true, actually.
Yeah.
And, that's okay, because I have more stickers on back order of the You're Fired Again achievement to give to him. Anyways, we are here to talk about all things tech and mostly gaming have happened in the past couple weeks. No, just week.
Just week. We were here last
week. We missed 2 weeks ago. As you can tell, listeners, I am very much in practice on my hosting skills. And we are not at all going to have any weird, hilarious things happen at the end of this podcast when I try to do an outro. Anyways, we're going to start with some general tech news, of which literally the only actual general tech news that I'm really aware of is Apple. And that is such a weird place to be in.
It is very weird. There was no Microsoft news, really.
At least not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm... Wes, anything? Anything? Nope. Okay.
Oh,
and
look, glad we got that covered.
No real no Google news, really, other than gaming, which is weird.
Strange. And then Apple did not have a bunch of rumors, but a whole bunch of actual news. So, cool. I'm going to talk about Apple now. So, Apple did a weird thing this past week called releasing products.
Yeah. Lots of them.
Not a thing that Apple normally does. It's kind of strange and feels
not in this
weird.
way, usually.
Right?
I mean, it's one thing to do a press release at a time like this for just minor spec updates, but 18?
Yeah. and there's some of this is actually kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And I was just, whoa, wait a second. You're not saving that for your event? So, to be fair, because of all of this stuff, Apple's event on the 25th may end up being super boring. By the time you are listening to this, dear listener, that event is probably already going to have happened, and you will know whether or not it was super boring. But considering all of this stuff, for me at least, I'm going to bet it's going to be pretty super boring. But let's go ahead and talk about the products that Apple released. First off, the iPad Air is evidently not dead.
Nope.
I don't know why it's not dead, but, well, here we are. So Apple has launched a new 10.5-inch iPad Air. They are sticking with the iPad Air moniker, which they ditched several generations of the iPad ago. Whatever, Apple. I've given up on trying to figure out how they name products.
Yeah.
It is essentially just the 10.5-inch iPad Pro, if we're honest, with an updated system on chip. So the thing has an A12 Bionic processor in it instead of the A10X Fusion, which was in the 10.5-inch iPad Pro. It is compatible with the first-gen Apple Pencil and the first-gen Smart Keyboard that were also compatible with the 10.5-inch iPad Pro. And it's available with 64 or 256 gigs of onboard storage and starts at $500. So, I have a 10.5-inch iPad Pro. It's a fantastic device. I love that thing to death, and I use it pretty much every day. And $500 for that device is a really great price, and I wish that's what I had paid for it. I paid about $800, so, that's a pretty good deal for that device with updated processor as well, and updated graphics. So, good deal. Next, Apple launched a new 5th-gen iPad mini.
Another thing we thought was dead.
Right? So it is back. There were rumors about this, that Apple was going to be releasing the thing. true to rumor, the thing has the same physical design as the 4th generation iPad mini, which was the same as the 3rd gen, which was the same as the 2nd gen, but not the same as the 1st gen. Those were all thinner than the 1st gen. So, woohoo. Anyways, it now has a True Tone display. So the display has been updated, but still the same resolution as the old display, which actually does make it the highest pixel density on a not OLED display that Apple sells. So that's cool. It does support the 1st gen Apple Pencil. It has an A12 Bionic, just the same as the 10.5-inch iPad Pro. It has 64 or 256 gigs of RAM. The cameras on the thing have also been upgraded. For anybody who remembers the cameras on the 4th gen iPad mini, I mean, they're old, because that 4th gen iPad mini is now 4 years old. It's been a while. So yes, they updated the cameras to match the rest of the iPad line. And that one starts at $400. So you can get a 10.5-inch screen, or you can get a 7.2-inch screen. I can't remember exactly what the screen size on the iPad mini is, but around 7 inches. And they're about, they're within $100 of each other and will give you basically the same functional experience.
Yeah. And I can't remember with the iPad Air, but I know the Mini has Apple Pencil support.
Yes.
1st generation Apple Pencil support, not 2nd.
Yes. They both have 1st gen Apple Pencil support. So to be clear, that is a $100 additional purchase on top of the price of the thing, but which I would recommend if you plan to do any note-taking or drawing. Both of these products will be fantastic for that, as long as you pair them with that pencil, and that pencil really is great. Also of note is Logitech's Crayon, which was launched with the new iPad, quote unquote, the new last gen, whatever, the $320 iPad that they launched at that education-focused event in 2018.
Yes.
That was in 2018.
Yes.
So Logitech announced a $50 Crayon, quote unquote, which is basically the exact same thing as the Apple Pencil 1st gen, except cheaper and funny colored. This is pretty much it. So that thing is also compatible with both of these new iPads.
Does it charge better?
I believe so.
Don't have to plug it into the bottom of your iPad?
No, I think it just has like a lightning port on the top and you just plug.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, as I recall.
So that's the better option.
Yes, cheaper, same functionality, not the retarded charging system.
Yes.
Which, as an owner of one of those Apple Pencils. Anyways. Okay, so new iPads. And it's pretty cool to see that the iPad mini is back. I know some folks that have iPad minis, and
I've got 2 of them.
Yeah, like they're really, it's a good form factor for a lot of people.
It was my preferred form factor until the newer iPads with the smaller bezels came out.
Yeah.
This one, it was my preferred form factor because I could hold it in one hand, and then obviously I can't use it with one hand, but I could hold it pretty easily and then do everything I needed to. Yep. And it's great for kids. I mean, that's one of our iPads is almost exclusively for our kids.
Yeah.
And it's the perfect size for them, and they're great.
Yep. And that is kind of the thing. Like, one of the advantages of the bigger iPads is the fact that they have a bigger screen, display text larger. So if you're talking about getting an iPad for an elderly relative, for instance, I mean, honestly, at this point, I'd still recommend you get last year's $320 iPad because it is cheaper.
Yeah.
And it's still a really great iPad. So, probably get them that.
And it also has pencil support.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It does. They now have pencil support across the entire iPad line.
Yeah.
And that's awesome because I think that pencil really is, I mean, it's so good. It is so low latency and stuff like that. And having used a lot of old smartphones, the type that Steve Jobs was making fun of when he pulled out a stylus and said, "Who wants one of these?" The honest truth is those styluses sucked. And those smartphones sucked. The screens were not responsive. They weren't even capacitive screens. They were resistive touch screens. And that's why you had to use a stylus with them, because your finger wasn't precise enough to use them. And it just all around a terrible user experience and a bad idea. And so, yeah, I totally get that. But stylus technology has come a long way since then. And these things are virtually no latency. It's basically imperceptible. And the pressure sensitivity that's available and all of that stuff really does make these things fantastic for any kind of hand content creators and also anybody that wants to use their iPad as a notepad. So, yeah, I think that is awesome. Good on Apple for bringing that down the line. Now, let's move on. Apple has also updated the iMac line. So this was nothing really groundbreaking about this particular release, but all of the iMacs have been updated. So 4K iMacs now start with an 8th gen Intel i3 quad-core processor and are available with up to a 6-core 8th gen i7. They did not... Okay, I don't actually have one of those things, and so I don't know which processors are in those things, but the top of the line one is going to be a variation on the 7700 or the 8700K, probably not actually a K edition because that would make it overclockable. So probably an 8775 or something weird like that, because Apple always has a slightly different SKU for their quote-unquote desktop chips they put into their iMacs than everybody else. But that's what you'd be expecting, something like that. 4K iMacs are also now going to be available with up to a Radeon Pro Vega 20 with 4 gigs of graphic memory for their video card, and can have up to 32 gigs of RAM from Apple. Now, to be fair, I believe, I'm pretty positive that those can be upgraded. The RAM can be upgraded. You take the display off of the iMac, it's just normal SODIMM slots, and I would be willing to bet good money that they will actually support up to 64 gigs via 2 side-by-side 32 gig sticks. I'm positive. You can quote me on that. 5K iMacs, they now start with an 8th gen i5 that has 6 cores. So those now start with a 6-core processor, but a non-multi-threaded processor, I believe. They will be available with up to a 9th gen i9 8-core, a 16-thread processor. So same processor that is in the top-of-the-line MacBook Pro, except probably the iMac is actually capable of keeping it cool enough to run.
Yeah.
They're also going to be available with Radeon Pro Vega graphics as well, but the Vega 48 this time instead of the Vega 20, with 8 gigs of HBM2 graphics memory. I should specify both of the Vega cards that come in these things. If it's a Vega card, it has HBM2 memory instead of GDDR5 or GDDR6, which is HBM2 is significantly faster than anything else because it actually shares die space with the GPU die. You know, for nerds that think that's cool, it is pretty dang cool. So that is, in both of those cases, that's a significant upgrade for people that are a little bit confused by the fact that they've never heard of a Vega 48 or a Vega 20 before. The numbers in the names of Vega cards refer to, oh, good grief, what is it? It refers to the number of stream processors, I believe, that is in the graphics core. So Vega 20 means that there's 20 of those things. Vega 48 means there's 48 of those things. Vega 56, which is available in the iMac Pro, that has 56 of them. Vega 64 has 64. The latest Radeon 7 graphics card, that has 60 of them, I think. So just kind of put that in perspective. They're not as nice, obviously, as the graphics that are available in the top-of-the-line iMac Pro, but, better than what was there before, which were just RX series graphics cards. The 5K iMac is also going to be available with up to 64 gigs of RAM. But speaking of the iMac Pro, that was also upgraded. Just a little bit. This one, not nearly so major. For instance, we don't have any new processors. You can still only max the thing out with an 18-core Xeon.
Only.
I know, such a shame. But you can now order the thing from Apple with up to 256 gigs of RAM, because...
Yeah.
I think you definitely need more RAM than I have storage on my actual boot drive on my Mac Mini. And that thing is now going to be optioned with a Radeon Pro Vega 64X. Not really sure what the functional difference is between a Vega 64 and a Vega 64X, but I would assume that the Vega 64X is a variant of the Radeon 7. That's my guess. So the Radeon 7 has some changes that to the actual manufacturing process that changed the power draw and allowed them to crank up the clock and the boost clock on the thing a little bit above what the Vega 64 was capable of. So the fact that they're calling this a Vega 64X does actually suggest that, unlike the Radeon 7, it does have 64 stream processors instead of 60, but possibly also some of the improvements that came to the Radeon 7, like more HBM2 and so on and so forth. Though I believe that this one is only going to be available with up to 16 gigs of HBM2 memory, which, I mean, is just terrible. Like, I don't know how anybody could muddle by with such a pedestrian amount of video RAM, says the guy who has 4 gigs on his card. Anyways, so yeah, iMacs all get a nice spec bump. For anybody who, there's gonna be somebody out there who's all like, why didn't Apple upgrade to all 9th generation chips for the iMacs? Because there are definitely some 8th generation chips. And yes, the 9th generation chips are available right now. First thing, they were offering some with i3s. As far as I'm aware, there are no 9th generation i3 processors available at the moment. Those will be launching soon, but have not launched as of this time. And second of all, if you look at the actual performance gains between 8th and 9th generation Intel chips, they're virtually non-existent. The only reason the top-of-the-line Intel chips from the 9th gen perform better than the top-of-the-line Intel chips from the 8th gen is because they added processor cores to them to improve the multi-threaded workflow. That's it. The actual core has not changed. The core performance has not changed. So, a quad-core i3 8th gen is going to cost less and perform exactly the same as a quad-core i3 9th gen. So, Apple saved a little bit of money by going with the year-older processor. And honestly, can't say I blame them. Intel sucks.
Yes.
Okay.
But now I realize that you can, if you price this out, you can get an iMac all the way up to the price point of an iMac Pro.
You can.
Like the highest price is right around $5,000 for an iMac, if you want to do that.
Yep.
But at that point, I would just say buy the low-end iMac Pro.
Yes.
Get the Xeon processors rather than an i9.
Yep. Well, and what's really interesting about that is that the i9 will give you 8 cores, 16 threads.
Right.
The lowest end Xeon will give you 8 cores, 16 threads. And then you're looking at a difference between okay, so this one has so much amount of RAM at the base configuration versus, because you would have 64 gigs of RAM in the top of the line 5K iMac. I believe that the iMac Pro starts with 32.
Is that it?
I think. It's available with up to 256, which is ridiculous, but I believe you can get the very base level is 32 gigs of RAM. But on the flip side of that, the best that you can get with a 5K iMac is, whatever the performance of a Vega 48, which I'm sure is pretty good, but is not going to be as good as the Vega 56 that is in the base model iMac Pro.
Right.
And then also the iMac Pro is space gray.
Yes.
And that really should swing everyone.
That's the reason you buy an iMac Pro.
Yep. Oh, and it comes with more expensive peripherals.
Yeah.
Which is, those space gray peripherals command a price premium of about $20, which I still think is stupid.
I think, honestly, the mouse, I like the white one better, but the keyboard, oof.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest. At this point, anybody who is getting an iMac and they're opting for the Magic Mouse instead of the Magic Trackpad needs to rethink their life. Because the trackpad is amazing, and the mouse is the least ergonomic computer mouse ever made. Okay, scratch that. The hockey puck mouse from the G3 iMac is the least ergonomic computer mouse ever made.
Yes.
But the Magic Mouse is a close second. Like, the functionality offered by the swipe surface on top, the touch interface, is really great. Like, don't get me wrong, that's super awesome. But
you can do all the same functionality with the trackpad.
Right, without cramping and giving yourself repetitive strain injuries. So, yeah, get that. But yeah, the trackpad is amazing. So it's nice that you have both options. Okay, so back to Apple's Weeko releasing stuff. They launched new AirPods.
Yeah.
So I saw this one come and I was like, well, that's it. They are not announcing any new hardware at their event on the 25th because AirPods sure seemed like that would be a shoo-in for something like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we'll see. There's Yeah, we'll see. So new AirPods, they now have the H1 chip on board, which is weird because the original AirPods had the W1. So I guess they didn't go with W2 because tax forms. That's the only reason I can think of, is that somebody went to name the new chip for this thing and went, well, W1, let's W2. Oh, crap. We did not think about that when we named the first one. That's, I don't know. Otherwise, it's a little bit confusing. But now it's the H1 wireless chip. But that, I guess maybe the H stands for Hey Siri, because that enables Hey Siri. And incidentally, if I accidentally just activated anybody's phones, I'm sorry. Somewhat miraculously, I didn't activate mine.
You said it twice.
I said it twice.
With the screen on, and it didn't do anything.
Hey Siri.
That's amazing.
Okay, there we go. I was getting a little worried. Jeez. It's like, she dead? What happened? Anyways, so that is now functionality that you can get from these things. You don't have to tap and hold on them in order to activate Siri like you used to. They also are, apparently, the H1 is going to allow you up to 50% more talk time. So if you're taking a phone call or something like that through your AirPods, you'll be able to talk for 50% more time. So instead of 2 hours, you can talk for 3. I want to know who spends 3 hours on the phone anymore. Like, is that a thing people do? I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't spend any time on the phone, so I guess I'm not in the target audience for this. But if you do spend a lot of time on the phone, the new AirPods will get you an extra hour. That's it. Like, to be clear, it does not give you any more additional listening time, like for music and stuff like that. All of that stays the same. It's just talking on the phone. The H1 is also going to enable device switching up to 2 times faster. So if you're swapping from your iPhone to your iPad to your Mac, that's going to be twice as fast. And there's going to be 30% less latency on the audio signal from your device, which Apple says is going to help a lot when you are playing games. And to be fair, I have seen I've experienced the latency on the original AirPods. It's fine for watching movies and TV shows and stuff like that. It's close enough. It's off a little bit from the way people move their mouths, but it's as good as any Bluetooth headset that I've ever seen. So 30% less than that. I can see that making a difference in some fast-paced games. So particularly rhythm action games, which I've never been able to play competently on an iPhone while using Bluetooth headphones, because any bit of lag in a rhythm action game means you are missing absolutely everything. So, 30% less latency is nice. It is available in 2 different versions. One is $160, which is, $10 more than the original. That has your standard, charging case. Or you can pay $200 and get the wireless charging case.
See, that's ugh.
Yeah.
That's a big jump everyone's been wanting this wireless charging case because they advertised it with the iPhone 10.
Yeah.
With the AirPower.
Yep.
And now it's finally here and they're charging that much more for it.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
Yep. Well, they knew that everybody was waiting for it, and so they're like, well, heck, we can charge an extra $40 for that. So $200 for the wireless charging case. Free engraving, also available now, though.
Ooh.
So you can if you order the thing from them online or at an Apple store, they can engrave the thing for you. What's nice is that the wireless charging case will be available as a standalone as well. So if you have the original AirPods and that's the only thing that you really want is just the wireless charging functionality, you can just buy the wireless charging case. It's $80.
That's not bad.
So that's not
horrible, I guess.
It could be better, but it's not the worst thing ever. But speaking of wireless charging cases, Apple launches new spring colors for phone cases and watch bands. Oh, wait. That's not what I wanted to follow that up with.
Nope.
Yeah, nobody cares about those things.
No AirPower.
What we do care about is the AirPower, and that still hasn't launched.
Maybe that's their one more thing at this event.
If they want to make fun of themselves, that would be an excellent way to do it. Because, the one more thing was this is something super unexpected, nobody saw this coming, or at the very least, this is something new and crazy that we really want to draw a lot of attention to. as opposed to, here's a product that we announced a year and a half ago that we are so late to bring to market that we have had to revise our marketing material like 3 different times because it was just embarrassing.
Yeah.
That said, if they do make fun of themselves, then I might actually gain a little bit of respect for them because I think that everybody should have the ability to laugh at themselves.
Yes.
So yeah, no AirPower and no iPod Touch.
Yeah.
Those are coming out of this week. It was 3 consecutive days of Apple just dumping a whole bunch of new products onto their store page. Like just kind of out of the blue.
I could see the one piece of hardware being announced with this Showtime event as an iPod Touch because it's meant to be something used for entertainment.
Yeah.
Whether it's playing games, whether it's watching movies, music, whatever. That's what it's meant to be for. So I could see that piece of hardware being saved.
Yes.
Because of the entertainment aspect of what it is.
Yep. I agree. And I think that's what we're going to see. As far as AirPower goes, rumors say and have consistently said that the end of March is when we're going to see production for that thing start. And it could be that it's just a little too early. They're like, we would have liked to announce it with the rest of this stuff, but we haven't actually ramped up production yet, so we're going to have to wait a couple of weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
But launching the AirPower at the event makes absolutely no sense. They already announced the dang thing.
Yeah.
But the iPod Touch, I can't see that. Also, for anybody that has really been holding out hope for a 2nd generation HomePod, maybe. I mean, it's an entertainment-focused event. The HomePod is kind of an entertainment-focused device. Kind of a long shot.
Yeah, especially where this is going to be more movie-type focused rather than audio.
Yeah. It's a long shot, but it's not impossible.
Right.
We'll throw it out there. And the only other piece of general tech news that I had that I just wanted to mention because it has been getting a lot of attention in the news, and you may have seen some ads from Sprint about this specifically. AT&T 5GE. If you are on AT&T and you have a new iPhone, you may have noticed that you are not getting LTE data, you are getting 5GE data. And you're probably sitting there thinking to yourself, boy, I'm so glad I'm on AT&T and I'm getting 5G ahead of everyone. No, you're not. You're getting LTE. It's the exact same thing as LTE that is available on T-Mobile and Verizon, and independent testing has shown that AT&T's, quote, 5GE is exactly the same speed as the LTE available on T-Mobile or Verizon. 0% faster. Identical performance if you have the same phone on all 3 of those carriers. Sprint sucks.
Yeah.
They're significantly slower. Their LTE just is slower. But just to clear that up, AT&T's 5GE is just LTE that takes advantage of some new technology that is in the most recent flagship smartphones.
Yeah.
Which does give those phones faster LTE speed. But it is still LTE. You're not going to be seeing an increase of like 5 or 6 or 7% when we finally make the switch to 5G. To be clear, 5G is an improvement of like 250% over the speed of LTE.
Yeah, you will notice a difference when you get actual 5G.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Like 5G is a seriously fast standard. And AT&T doesn't have it. They're building it out. So's Verizon, so's T-Mobile, so's Sprint. They're all doing it. It's not going to be available in 2019. Probably not really going to be available in most places in 2020 either.
Yeah.
So, just wanted to clear that up for anybody who was wondering. And that's all the general tech news that I have. Landon, why don't you hit us with some gaming news?
Yeah, weird. I'm starting gaming out 2 weeks in a row. Very odd.
The end times, they are upon us.
That's a good way to put it. Okay, so my first bit of gaming news, and this is kind of gaming.
It involves playing games. Just maybe not the games most people are expecting.
Right. So, Archos, they announced a 21-inch tablet for tabletop gaming. Yes, you heard that right. A 21-inch tablet for tabletop gaming. I can't say this is a horrible idea. It's better than some ideas I've seen. This is a potentially good way to use an Android tablet,
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, I'd say it's a lot better than the 21-inch tablet that was designed to replace your microwave.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's the waste of anything.
It's a waste of space.
Yes.
Put a microwave there.
So this is called the Play Tab, which is an interesting name. It's got a 21.5-inch full HD display. It doesn't specify what the processor is, but it's an octa-core processor of some sort.
Oh, it probably means it's a MediaTek.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It is Archos.
Yeah.
It's got 32 gigs of storage, 3 gigs of RAM, and a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, which all of those things just scream, don't buy me.
Yeah.
Because you got a 21-inch tablet
with a 5,000
with only a 5,000 milliamp hour battery.
That's tiny.
And only 3 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be used for games.
To be fair, I suspect that the intent with the battery on this device is more about, let me transfer this from my house to my friend's house and then plug it in, than it is, I'm going to run this on the battery for extended periods of time. That's my guess.
I don't know, because they could easily put 7,000, 10,000 milliamp hour battery. We've got phones with 5,000 milliamp hour batteries that aren't that big.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, the logic board in this thing is not going to be bigger than the logic board in your average smartphone.
No.
Because it has average smartphone specs. And I mean truly average.
Yeah.
Like, these are the specifications of a $400 or $500 budget Android smartphone. And I can't believe I just said $400 is budget in this day and age. That is so weird to me, but it is literally half the price of a flagship.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not going to be a huge logic board, and the display hardware is going to take up more space than your average smartphone, obviously, because it's a big display.
Right.
But, I mean, what is all the rest of that space going toward? They could put a flipping laptop battery in this thing, no problem.
Easy.
Like, piece of cake.
Easy.
I mean, take the battery out of the MacBook and put it in there. Like, that thing is as thick as this tablet is, probably. Why not? Just, anyways, that seems like a weird decision to me. But I mean, what's the price for this thing?
So, well, back to the battery. Is Archos is saying the battery is enough for long-lasting gameplays.
Sure.
If you think long-lasting is like 15, 20 minutes, maybe.
I mean, to be fair, if it is an octa-core MediaTek processor, it's not powerful.
No.
Probably doesn't use that much power.
And granted, this is so the games that are included on the device are Monopoly, Pandemic, Scrabble, Uno, and things like that.
Oh.
So like it's tabletop gaming.
Yeah.
So I mean, these games potentially won't use a ton of battery for what you're doing with them.
That's fair.
It's not like you're playing Fortnite on this. Which,
right.
Ooh, please
right.
no.
Yeah.
But
bad.
So I mean, you're not using. It's not. I don't think it'll use a ton of battery, but still, only 5,000 milliamp hour battery is just. Why?
I mean, like I said, it's probably the kind of thing where take it to your friend's house, set it on the table, plug it in. There's all your board games. And actually, the fact that Pandemic is included, that is a great game.
Yeah.
That was a super fun game.
So, price-wise, this is supposed to go on sale in Europe later this year. So, I don't know if it's coming to the U.S. It might later on. But as of now, in Europe later this year for 249 euros, which is around $280.
Yeah.
So, really, it's not a bad price for what you get.
That is pretty good.
But still, it just...
Come on. There's some missed opportunity, to be sure. But I get the appeal of the device as somebody who does enjoy tabletop games.
Right.
Like having to, okay, I want to play Axis and Allies with some buddies. If you want to do something like that, you have to plan for the fact that the box that game comes in is flipping enormous, and you're going to have to carry that around. The board is also enormous, and there are bajillions of pieces. And so you have to have a table set up that is just for that game. And then you have to plan about 30 minutes to set the board up. And then you have to make sure you have put it somewhere where it cannot be disturbed because you're probably not going to finish the game in one sitting. So just being able to have a digital version of that whole experience that you can still take to your friend's house, you can still play the entire thing just like the game, like the actual board game, instead of having like a full-on computer game version of the game, which there are computer game turn-based strategy versions of Axis and Allies. That's a nice It's a nice convenience.
Yeah.
So for that price, if you do have a ton of board games, you do a ton of tabletop gaming, honestly think that that's probably a pretty good purchase. So
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Okay, now on to Google's gaming news.
This is such a weird week.
Such a weird week.
Oh, man.
Now, we announced last week that Google was going to have a keynote at GDC this past week, and they did. And it was the talk of the conference, I think.
Oh, yes.
Easily.
Oh, yeah.
And so what they announced was their new streaming service, which we were expecting. It's called Stadia, which is an interesting name.
Yeah.
I like the logo. It's actually really cool.
It is pretty cool. It's not very Google-esque.
No,
like it
it's
doesn't
not.
look like an alphabet logo, and
Which
I
is
appreciate
fine.
that.
I'm okay with this. So what they're saying this is supposed to be able to do is allow you to, so you subscribe to their service, which they haven't given a price yet for. So
Mhm.
that's
One of the big unknowns.
Yeah. But you subscribe to this service, you are supposed to be able to play whatever games are available on this service on any screen, as long as you have proper hardware. So, like, say you have a Chromecast, you have to have a Chromecast Ultra. So, say you have a Chromecast Ultra hooked up to your TV, you can play whatever game you have
Did
on
it
there.
have to be the Ultra?
I
thought it
believe
was.
so. That's what I saw. Maybe.
Or okay,
Well, the reasoning behind the Ultra, at least, is
the 4K,
the 4K,
Yeah.
because it can stream up to 4K.
Yep. 60 FPS.
Yeah,
Which is insane.
ridiculous.
And doesn't make any sense when you're talking about like entertainment. I knew some folks that were all like, yeah, the most recent Chromecasts will do 60 FPS in 4K, or the cheaper one will do 60 FPS 1080p.
Yeah.
What is the point of that? Absolutely no entertainment is streamed at 60 frames per second. Nobody does that. Like even
But
sitcoms do 30 FPS, but video games.
And now we know why they did that.
Yup.
They were planning ahead.
That was a very conscious decision.
Very. They've been planning this for a while, like way longer than we thought.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Chromecast Ultra came out 2 years ago in
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah. This is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And we're all just now catching on.
Yeah. I mean, and this is way bigger than what we expected it from just the beta, because the beta was, we talked about this a little bit, streaming games over Chrome on a computer.
Yep.
And that's how it worked.
Yep.
And it worked well. Everyone that used
Yeah.
it said it was great.
Yeah. And to be clear, that is also still what we're talking about.
Yes,
Like,
this is the
that's
same
still
thing.
a thing you can do.
It's just now you can do it on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer,
Yep.
on your TV.
Basically anything that is Chrome or has Chrome
Yeah.
can do it.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're saying. Though, from what I understand, when they're talking about phones, they're going to start with the Pixel phones
Right.
and then go from there. But in theory, any phone that has a Chrome browser on it, so including iOS devices.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And so I want to read also some of the performance aspects that they're talking. So besides support for up to 4K resolutions and 60 frames per second, they're eventually saying they're going to have 8K support, which I don't know when that's going to happen, but they're saying it's going to come eventually, maybe next year,
Yeah, that is insane.
which is, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous
It's
for a
absolutely
streaming
nuts.
service.
Yeah. I mean, even streaming like 8K TV footage like just blows my mind, let alone 8K 60 FPS. Okay.
Yeah. So I just want to read, this is coming from an article on Android Police about this, and it says Google's expanded its data centers to better provide an optimized experience for even the most demanding games, and that includes fresh new hardware in those data centers. And this is where it gets really interesting. So it says Stadia's stack revealed on the stadia.dev site includes a custom 2.7 gigahertz x86 CPU, custom AMD GPUs rated at 10.7 teraflops,
Woo!
16 gigs of RAM, and SSD cloud storage. Now, that 10.7 teraflops, I'm just going to give you some comparisons here. This is what Google showed as well. The PS4 Pro is at 4.2 teraflops.
Yeah.
The Xbox One X is at 6.0 teraflops.
Yep.
Stadia is at 10.7.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. For you PC gamers that are keeping track at home, probably these custom AMD GPUs are based off of the Radeon 7 architecture. Like, It's Vega 2. That's what they've got in these things. Top of the line. Those are the graphics cards that give you 10 teraflops. Like, if you want more power than this in your graphics, you're looking at Titans from Nvidia. That's the only way to beat this crap out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're taking it seriously.
They are definitely taking it seriously, which is, I mean, this is the streaming service to beat out consoles. And they are advertising it as such.
Yeah.
And they are doing it so, like...
Google sits at a really interesting intersection to make this happen.
Yeah.
Because this isn't the first streaming service for video games.
PlayStation's service is only streaming.
PlayStation Now, that's streaming and lets you stream PS2 and PS3 and PS4 games. It's a pretty large library, and from what I understand, works pretty well.
Yeah.
And they even have the ability to do it to PCs or to Sony Bravia TVs that don't actually have anything else hooked up to them and stuff. And so, they've got a little bit of this like device agnostic stuff going on, and that's pretty cool. So good for you, PlayStation. Nvidia has had the GeForce Now experience going on for a couple of years. It's still in beta, and that puts the full power of a gaming PC behind whatever game you have on Steam or whatever game you rent on Steam when you want to play it. And, so this isn't necessarily the first time we've seen something like this.
Right.
But here is where Google obviously has a little bit of an advantage they own the flipping data centers.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of a big deal. Google knows how to get stuff over the internet with as low latency as humanly possible. Anybody who has used a streaming game service understands that is one of the biggest problems that we're going to have to overcome is the latency between when I input a command via my controller or my mouse or keyboard and when I see that happen on the screen. If we want to overcome, if we want to swing everything, then we have to overcome that. And Nvidia has had problems with that. Their service is cool. It's a great idea. And just the fact that it makes available pretty much any PC game that you want from almost any service, that's awesome. But input lag, it's an issue. And if you want to do competitive shooters on a PC, that's a problem.
Yeah.
PlayStation Now, from what I understand, that's much less of an issue on PlayStation Now. But again, it's PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 games. Some of those aren't even available in 1080p. The PS4 games are available in 1080p, but they're limited to 30 frames per second. And
right.
So, there's problems there. So the fact that Google is going, 4K, 60 frames, and, just go to town. That says a lot about what Google is planning to accomplish with that. And I think that, they're actually in a pretty good place to pull it off.
Yeah. Another thing they announced is the Stadia controller, and this has me very interested. The way this is set up. It looks similar to an Xbox controller.
Yeah.
The way the button layout is and all this stuff. It's got an assistant button.
Yes,
which of course it does. But that's kind of a way you can push that and say, hey, start streaming if you want to stream to YouTube.
Yep.
Or record something or, whatnot.
Yep. And to be fair, all the console controllers have a similar button on them.
Yes. So, it makes sense. And it probably is going to do a little bit more because it's Google Assistant. But I don't know what more you'd want to do with it.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to add some features to it. I don't know. But the interesting thing about this controller is it doesn't work via Bluetooth. I'm sure it probably will, but the way that they're doing this is it connects to the game via Wi-Fi. So it recognizes, so if say you're playing a game on your TV through your Chromecast, it will sense the Chromecast you're using, see the instance of the game that you're playing, connect to the game through the server via Wi-Fi to give you the least amount of latency possible.
Yep.
Which is amazing.
That's a great idea.
It's so brilliant.
It is a great idea. There are some problems, everybody, and I have been on such an emotional roller coaster with the whole concept of all of this crap for the past week because I hear that and I'm all like, okay. Wi-Fi uses a ton more power than Bluetooth does. Like,
Right.
especially Bluetooth LE is it sips at the battery compared to Wi-Fi, which is just like this monster chewing through your battery.
Yes.
Like, so obviously the battery life on this controller is going to be significantly worse than your Xbox or your PlayStation controller. But then at the same time, the fact that you can get rid of when we talk about latency, which was what I was saying, that's one of the big things that any game streaming service is going to have to overcome. Bluetooth adds a ton to that because Bluetooth itself is already kind of a high latency connection protocol, which is why, like a selling point for the new AirPods is 30% less latency. That's a big deal with Bluetooth. So when you push the button on the controller, the signal has to go via a slow connection from Bluetooth from your controller to your device. And then if you're doing a streaming service, it has to go from there to your router and then from the router to the cloud and then from a data center. Like it gets processed in a data center. The data center sends the input back to your router, from your router to your TV, and then from your TV to your eyeballs. That is a lot of latency. And so being able to connect the controller directly to the router takes one step out of that and honestly removes the slowest piece of the chain.
Yeah.
In some cases, depending on how fast your internet connection is, I guess. But like that's actually, it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
And yes, sure, the battery life is going to suck, but I think that the improvements in the gameplay experience is going to be kind of huge.
Yeah, definitely. And like these controllers are also set to work with, I mean, however you're playing the game, you can do it on your PC, on your TV, on your phone with this controller.
Yep.
And it'll just work with any device that this Stadia software program works with.
Because it's not connecting to the device.
No. Yeah. And so like one thing, this was announced with the Pixel 3 and 3 XL is they have controllers from other companies that have like a way to hold the phone on the controller so you don't have to have it set up somewhere. Yeah. These will also do that. Yeah. So if you just want the controller and you don't want to buy a Chromecast and whatnot, you can use your Pixel phone and it'll work. And it'll connect again via Wi-Fi to the game, not to your phone, and it'll work. And it'll be awesome.
What is fantastic about this to me is that, I mean, I build my gaming PCs and I build budget gaming PCs. Like, I get the most amount of power for my money as humanly possible into those PCs. I think that's the best way to build a gaming PC, which means that every gaming PC that I build has no Bluetooth. Absolutely none. Because what's the point of having Bluetooth? All of my peripherals are wired because those are cheaper. And, I don't see the point. So having a controller, it's all like, yep, you have to have Bluetooth connection. That's an instant write-off for me.
Yeah.
But thing
now
doesn't.
As long as you have a PC that is capable of running Chrome at a decent level, you're good.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of computers.
Crap. Yeah, and it's like it's the kind of thing where like go check out Calling All Platforms Gaming on YouTube sometime. I have done videos on there several different times where I'm basically like, well, let's see, I've got this pile of trash from the thrift store. Let's see if it can game. And the takeaway from those is almost universally always, they're great for retro gaming. That's about the extent of it. But, I did one where I took the PC and I was like, okay, so here's what the gaming performance is. And I played Rise of the Tomb Raider on it. It was awful. Like slideshow. It was like 5 to 10 frames per second. It was so bad. And I was like, okay, this is just obviously terrible. But then I plugged the thing into an internet connection and I set up Steam and home streaming. And I streamed Rise of the Tomb Raider from my actual gaming PC to this thing, to where all it's doing at that point is decoding a 1080p video stream and then transferring data back and forth between those two computers. That was actually quite playable. Like, I'm not sure exactly what the frame rate I think I was getting like effectively was, but it was around 30 and the game was playable. Like, it was fine at high details. And so like, okay, here's a $10 PC from the thrift store I can now play brand new AAA games on because literally it's got an internet connection and can power a 1080p monitor.
Yeah.
And if it can play 1080p YouTube videos, it'll be able to play games via this service. And that's just insane to me.
Yeah. Speaking of the YouTube feature, so like we mentioned before, obviously this is going to be able to live stream to YouTube, which because of this, live streaming on YouTube is going to get much better. and probably more popular really quickly.
Yep. Well, this is one of the... Oh, man, that's another one of the reasons I've been on an emotional work. Anyways, finish your thought. I have so many.
But anyways, they also talked about this thing called instant access, which is also brilliant. So say you're watching a trailer for a game or somebody else is live streaming them playing the game on Stadia. There's an option. So, okay, we'll start with the trailer option. So if you're watching a trailer for a game, at the end of the trailer they showcased, it has a button that says play now. And you can play it, and within 5 seconds, they say, up to 5 seconds, you will be playing this game.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous and amazing.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And then also, if somebody is live streaming a game via Stadia on YouTube, there's an option to say play now, and you join into the game with that person, as long as they allow that.
Right.
Which is also really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
It is nuts.
It's ridiculous.
And like, let's be honest, that is going to be... YouTube's live streaming for video games has been problematic up to now. And YouTube has actually been kind of hostile to content creators. And there's a reason why everybody who streams video games is on Twitch. Twitch has got that figured out.
Yeah.
But being able to do something like that, and so here's, I mean, how I picture this going down is somebody who is watching a streamer on YouTube is all like, oh, you know, I want to jump in and play this game with them or something like that. And they click go, they probably have to pay $5 to do that. And that $5, I mean, obviously Google's going to get a cut, but the rest of it's going to go to the streamer. And so that's going to give the streamers incentive to be like, well, sure, I'm playing this giant open world game right now. Like I'm playing Ark, Survival Evolved. Huge open world game. I'm just going to make it so that people can jump in. Anybody can, $5 and now I'm in the server.
Yeah.
That is going to streamline the monetization features so much that, yeah, they might actually be able to win over a lot of content producers and streamers just because it's easy to make money on the platform.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's kind of a big deal. So, I mean, to be fair, they're probably also going to have to change a few of their other policies that are a little bit anti-streamer, but, there's some real potential here.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And now, I didn't watch the keynote, but I want to say I heard somewhere that someone mentioned that they could have open world games like, or is that what the type of game, or battle royale type games with like 1,000 people because their servers are good enough. And it would make sense. It's Google.
Yeah.
They know servers.
Yeah.
That in and of itself is also ridiculous.
Those games would go on forever.
It's like, why would you do that? But, there's the option, apparently.
Yeah, you'd spend all day playing a battle royale. Just one match.
Yeah.
Dude, though, can you imagine if you were the guy who won that thing? Like, man, that's mad props. I survived 999 other people.
That would be the way to do a tournament, like a $5 buy-in. Winner gets like $500 or something, or $1,000 or something.
Oh yeah, jeez, wow, that would be nuts. Yeah,
that would be cool.
There really is a lot of potential. I mean, you can tell when they were introducing all these features, the way that they talked about it, you can tell they put a lot of thought into the various ways that this will appeal to people.
Yeah. And it's they're doing it in a way to appeal to anyone. Like, this is the most excited I've been about gaming in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome.
And I will admit, there's a part of me that is a little bit sad because a large part of what makes gaming exciting to me is hardware.
All the hardware here is a controller.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an impressive controller.
Yeah. But all the stuff I care about, it's the numbers like the 10.6 teraflops and stuff like that. And that's in a data center somewhere in Arizona. That's not cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's definitely more accessible and just there's so much potential. It does not, unfortunately, is not going to give us the ability to just ignore platforms. When I first heard them talking about, just kind of in broad sweeping strokes, the concept of the thing, and they were talking about it so interesting side note, the reason it's named Stadia is because Stadia kind of sounds like stadium. And that was kind of how they were going. It was like, it's a stadium, like YouTube, if you're watching somebody play, you can participate as an audience member, but then also get down in there and play the game. And that's kind of how they wanted to pitch the whole concept. But just when they were talking about that kind of thing and just the general concepts, I was like, wait a second. Are they saying that they're going to have basically data centers that are packed with high-power PCs, Xbox One X's, PS4s, Nintendo Switches, and basically any game you can imagine that you can find on YouTube? You can just click go and you'll be able to play this game. No, it is not like that at all. And what it's actually like is this is an entirely new platform. So it's not going to be able to play PC games. It's not going to be able to play Xbox games. It's not going to be able to play PlayStation games. It's not going to be able to play Nintendo games. It's going to be able to play games that were built for Stadia.
Right.
And that is, to be fair, probably one of the main reasons why they get a lot of the benefits in regards to, say, latency, and also a lot of the integrations that they're talking about with YouTube and that sort of thing, is because they're going to have their own developer SDK that they're going to have to use to build their games for this platform. So it's another platform, basically. But it's a really cool one. It has a lot of potential to do some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's the key. It definitely has tons of potential. And this is what worries me, is it coming from Google. They have the money and ability to do this well, very well.
Yes.
The problem is it's coming from Google, a company that is known for starting things and not doing anything with them, and eventually killing them off 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah.
So, that's what scares me about this. I mean, this excites me a lot because the capability and potential capability of this is amazing.
Yeah.
And the reach that it would have is huge. It's potentially gaming worldwide easily.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Except China, because Google's banned in China.
Yeah.
Oh, for Chinese gamers.
Yeah, so I mean, it worries me because it's Google and they tend to do things like that.
Yeah.
But where this was only a project for 2 months, whereas other things never make it out of project naming.
Yeah.
I mean, this was announced as Stadia.
Yep.
There was never an announcement for Project Stream. It was maybe a press release, if that.
Yeah.
Just saying, hey, we've got a beta gaming service. Come try it out.
Yeah.
That was basically it.
Was it really even that? It was just like,
it was it was probably posted on their blog, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the fact that this is starting off as a legit, full-fledged, here you go, this is what it is thing, it's better. But again, I'm still hesitant to say this is. I mean, this has the potential to go and change the gaming world as we know it.
Yeah.
As long as Google puts enough stuff behind it to keep it going and keep it growing.
Yep. And I mean, it's probably going to come down to the difference, or come down to whether or not Google approaches the thing as its own platform, like its own money-making ability, like this is a product and we're going to push this product, we're going to make this product good, or if they're coming at it from the perspective of this is a thing that we're going to use to try and get more people to use YouTube streaming or something like that, because there's definitely a possibility that that's how they're thinking about it, is this is this. But so much of what I have heard about this thing, they're not talking about it in terms of Google Stadia or YouTube Stadia. It's just Stadia. Yeah. They're talking about it like it's its own thing, and I really hope that's how it's being treated. This is a separate company under the Alphabet, umbrella that has its own ability to do stuff. Because it's Alphabet, it obviously has a lot of tight integration with YouTube, but that's just a selling point that Stadia is trying to use to push the platform, not that Google is trying to use to improve the profitability of YouTube.
Right. And I mean, it shows, just if you watch the keynote, they didn't talk about YouTube a ton. I mean, other than, hey, you can stream to YouTube. Hey, you can watch a trailer on YouTube and play the game.
Yeah.
It was more, that was all it really was. It was more talking about the platform itself, talking about what it can do, how you play it, and where to get it.
Yep. So yeah, I have high hopes that...
I think everyone does. I mean, everyone that I've listened to or read about that's talking about this is excited.
Mm-hmm.
Gamers and non-gamers. I mean, listen to me. Again, I haven't been this excited about gaming, and I don't even know the last time I was this excited about gaming. It's been a long time.
The NES Classic.
Maybe when I got a GameCube. No, even then. Maybe when I got my 64, when the GameCube had been out for 2 years. Because I had 007 on that 64, and it was amazing.
Oh, man.
Other than that, I don't remember the last time I was excited about gaming.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing.
Now, there's a couple more things I wanted to mention. So they've got hardware and software partners, including AMD, Unity, CryEngine, and Havok at the moment.
Yes.
I'm sure more game developers and studios will get on board with this relatively quickly.
Well, the one that they've got already is id Software.
Right.
And that's pretty cool to me because, I mean, on the one hand, it says that obviously their publisher, Bethesda, is probably also on board.
Right.
Otherwise, id wouldn't be doing anything with them.
Yeah.
But, that id is, I mean, come on. They're like the granddaddy in software development or in video game development space. They have been around for a long time. They're one of the old guard developers, and they actually do have the opinion to swing a lot of developer sentiment. And they actually have gone on record over the past week with a lot of quotes, basically talking about how at first, when Google approached them, they were skeptical. But then after they started looking into it and started learning, they were actually eager to port Doom Eternal over to the platform.
Right.
So that's kind of a big deal to me. It says a lot.
Yeah. Also going along with those, Google also announced Stadia Games and Entertainment, their own studio for developing games.
Yep.
This is going to be obviously Stadia exclusive games, but they've got their own studio now to make games for it. Now, obviously that's has yet to be seen how good quality these games are going to be, but it's Google. They've got the money to buy the right people.
True, yes. They have the money. If this is a problem that can be solved by throwing money on it, they will solve it.
Yes. I mean, and this is one of those things they potentially could because they could pay the right people to come and work for them.
Yep.
Now, whether or not those people want to leave their jobs, that's another situation.
Yeah, we'll see.
But, now, things that we don't know about Stadia are price.
Yes.
That's going to be interesting.
That is a big question.
Yeah. I can't imagine it being, I'm expecting $10 to $15 a month.
Yeah.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
For this type of for a streaming service.
And it depends on how many games are available on the service.
Right.
And what the quality of the games are. And I think that's probably why they didn't say anything about price, is because they're waiting to get their catalog more solidified.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, okay, here's the price, now that you can see what games are available.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to know that Google's been talking to everyone about getting their games here.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why they also haven't released a date other than 2019. So I would imagine Q4.
Yeah, probably.
Around the holidays.
Yep.
And they're still working with gaming studios, making sure everything's going to work right, getting them the APKs for their platform, all this stuff, just to make it work the way they need it to, so developers have time to get their games onto here, and so they have time to convince developers to get their games onto here.
Yeah. Yep.
So those are two big things that we don't know, obviously, is when it'll come and pricing. Pricing, I think, is the biggest thing, because obviously, depending on the price is whether people are going to want to do it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
But it's really interesting, and I am so mixed on it, because on the one hand I'm like, well, all right, I'm gonna buy me one of these controllers and away we go. Or I mean, heck, I've got a flipping gaming PC. I'll just play it on that using Chrome, whatever.
And I mean, if you're used to that's the other benefit of this type of streaming service. If you're used to PC gaming, you play it on your PC. If you're used to console gaming, you buy the controller and you got it on wherever you want to play it.
Yeah.
On your PC, on your phone, on your TV. It doesn't matter.
Yep. That's pretty sweet.
It's pretty awesome.
Here's my favorite part. Here is my favorite part. If you have a Mac,
it'll work.
You can play this. What? Like,
Yeah.
this is, has Google accidentally saved Mac gaming? I think they may have done that, like, totally unintentionally, I'm sure. But the fact of the matter is, we've got Chrome, and that's all you need is Chrome and a keyboard and a mouse and, like, dad flipping gummit. If this turns out to actually be good enough and to get enough games that I want to play, I might stop building gaming PCs. Okay, who am I kidding? Like I said earlier, I love the hardware. That's kind of what I'm in it for more than anything else. But
you could build cheaper gaming PCs.
I can build cheaper gaming PCs, yes. Yeah, and that's just kind of nuts to me. But I could, my Mac Mini, whatever, has the graphics horsepower of like a literal turd. It has integrated Intel graphics. It's not very good graphically speaking.
Doesn't matter anymore.
Doesn't matter at all.
As long as it's got the processing power for Chrome, you're good.
Right. Well, and the RAM for Chrome. So I might need to upgrade my RAM. But, it's only got 8 gigs. Chrome is, it's thirsty.
Yeah.
but no, the point is, it's just like, it doesn't matter. I have a Mac. I can play games, like, whatever. That's dope. Like, let's be honest. Let's be absolutely straight up front about this. The only game that we know for sure, big AAA title, that is going to be on other platforms that is coming to Stadia is Doom Eternal. And that is not going to be available on Mac. Well, okay. It might actually be because the original Doom did support the Vulkan API. Vulkan API is open source. Okay, so maybe Doom Eternal will be available on Mac and Linux, if not at launch, but shortly thereafter. But the only Macs that are going to be able to play it are going to cost more than like $4,000, because that's the only way to get a halfway decent graphics card in your Mac. My little Mac Mini with integrated graphics wouldn't have a prayer. Doom Eternal would just rip that thing a new one, but it will be available on Stadia.
Yeah.
So subscribe to Stadia, play it on whatever Mac you want. Is your Mac 5 years old? Cool. Not a problem.
I mean, obviously this isn't a thing yet, but just imagine a Stadia app on your Apple TV.
Like, I kid you not. I would literally subscribe just for that. Because in that case, like, I'd even be able to try it with my SteelSeries Nimbus controller.
And see how that works.
Is a Bluetooth controller, and obviously I was just talking about how Bluetooth is going to be a problem with stuff like this. But if it's not that bad, then okay, cool. I don't even have to buy their controller.
Right.
Like, this is, that could be really awesome. And, they have said in statements I have actually been following a lot of Apple-based sites, Apple-centric sites, that have been talking to Google about Stadia over the past week, because let's be honest, anybody who uses a Mac is pretty excited about this.
Yeah.
And about the possibility of it coming to iOS in particular, because they basically said Chrome browser. Anything with a Chrome browser, which obviously is meant to imply PCs and probably Macs, anything with a desktop Chrome browser.
Right.
But then the question is also, does that include the mobile versions of Chrome? And they asked about that, and Google said basically that they weren't opposed to bringing it to literally anywhere that has the word Chrome, but they were going to start with Pixel devices.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
Start small.
They can control that environment.
Relatively small. In the mobile field, small.
Yeah.
Because, small, and because any PC that has Chrome, it's going to play.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what they've said. And so, remains to be seen. I actually wouldn't be surprised if instead of playing in the Chrome browser on iOS, for instance, it does get its own app instead.
Yeah.
But I would be surprised if it does not come to iOS sometime, like, within a year of launching.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's really intriguing to me. I'm really interested to see where it goes.
Yeah. And another thing that I just remembered, they don't. I didn't see a price on the controller. Have you seen anything?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so that's another. But I mean, controllers go anywhere from $50 to $150, depending on, or more, depending on what you're getting.
Yeah.
So people that are interested in this platform at the moment are fine. They know what to expect to pay for a controller.
Yep.
So that's not going to be that big of a deal.
Yep.
I think the biggest thing is going to be the price of the service itself.
Yes. Yeah. That remains to be seen. So, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
All right.
I'm excited for it.
Listeners, this is nuts. We might actually be able to get Landon to subscribe to a gaming service.
Weird. It all depends on the games that are there.
It's true.
Like, I'm not a big gamer, but depending on the game, if it looks intriguing enough, I might, I might buy a controller.
Yeah.
And that's all I need to buy. I don't need to buy a freaking console.
No.
Which is amazing.
That is... Yeah.
That's one of the things that's always held me back from, or
Yeah.
potentially held me back from gaming, is I haven't had a need for the other benefits of a console.
Yeah.
Because I have other hardware, like a DVD or Blu-ray player. I don't need the console for that.
Right.
I don't need the internet capabilities of it because my TV does that.
Yeah.
So I haven't, and I don't game enough to justify it. But this, all I need to buy is a controller.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Well, and
even then, I don't even need to buy the controller.
It's true. You could just get, an external mouse for that laptop right there, and there you go.
Yeah.
You're off to the races.
Yep.
And that's just weird. Like, it really does bring the cost of entry for gaming down to the cost of the subscription service itself.
And maybe a controller.
And probably that's it, because honestly, you probably already have hardware that'll run it.
Yep.
That's insane. So yeah, good on them. Anything else you wanted to say about Stadia?
Nope, that's it for now.
Okay.
I'm just excited.
It is. It's pretty exciting. It's going to be really interesting.
I am very curious to see what Wes has to say.
Yeah.
Since he's not here.
Yeah. Wes, we're sorry. You missed it. Okay. I do have a little bit of gaming news because this past week was obviously the Game Developer Conference,
and it wasn't Google's developer conference
No.
like GDC might suggest.
It did kind of feel that way though, because like honestly, absolutely everything else that got announced or talked about, everybody was just like, whatever.
Stadia.
and that's kind of the funny thing is that like Phil Spencer, Xbox head, he had some things to say about Stadia. Because, we've talked about, Wes has talked about several times before on the podcast, about how Microsoft does have their own streaming game service of this nature coming. Currently, they have Games Pass, but that is, you download those games.
Right.
Like, to play them, you download them, and I'm going to be honest with you, that can kind of ruin your internet if you have a data cap.
Yeah.
Holy crap. So, but, like, that's how that works. But they have been working on this, and let's be honest, if there's another company who is situated in just the right place to be able to make a streaming service like this work, it is probably Microsoft, because obviously Google has all the data centers and all the bandwidth, and Microsoft has Azure. Microsoft runs half the internet.
Yeah.
So they can obviously do that. And he made the statement that he basically said, and this is actually why I like Phil Spencer. He's kind of just a cool guy.
Yeah.
He basically said, cool. Google Stadia, that's a cool thing. It's a great idea. Obviously, we're doing the same thing. We have the same thing coming. They talked about it this week, and there was an internal memo that went out to the Xbox employees that basically said, okay, guys, yeah, you've been working on this really hard for a long time. And I know it kind of feels like a little crappy that Google is getting all the spotlight first, but this is their week. Our week is coming. It sounded like they were planning on announcing it at E3 or a Microsoft-specific conference.
Right.
And I'm not sure what Microsoft-specific conferences are coming between now and the beginning of June. Wes, any insights?
Their developer conference is it before E3 or is it after?
I'm pretty sure it's before E3. I want to say
that would be, if they were to do it not at E3, that would be the one to do it at.
Yeah, that's what I assume.
Even then, I don't know. They would probably wait until E3.
It's hard to say.
It would make more sense, at least to me.
Yeah. But yeah, he was pretty cool about it, and just whatever, they're going to do their thing, we're going to do our thing.
Yep.
We'll see who gets more people, basically.
Yeah.
And but it was cool. He was cool about it. Everybody else was honestly pretty cool about it. Just the fact that Google did just steal the entire week. But there were a couple of other things I wanted to mention. First of all, one of the rumors that came out of GDC was a whole bunch of industry folks talking to each other, is that Apple might actually be introducing a game streaming service on the 25th with their TV streaming service. So let's talk about this for a second. Apple was rumored to be setting up some kind of a game streaming service. This has been a rumor for several months now, so this is not necessarily news. Maybe it's a little bit news that it's coming so quickly, and it's entirely possible that Apple saw Google's thing and was all like, I'll bet we could get a lot more press if we rode the coattails of that. and they moved up the announcement or something like that.
It's one of those things that they probably were wanting to do it at WWDC.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh.
Yeah.
Well,
like just bringing it closer together, like proximity is going to boost. Honestly, it'll probably boost the media attention for both services.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I can definitely see Apple thinking, yeah, we want to follow close on that.
And this is also a way for them to get into the Google and Android news outlets.
Yeah.
Because if they
of
do it
proximity
this close,
to Stadia. Yep.
Everyone, I mean, they would if they announced it at WWDC as well, but not as much as they would if they do it now.
Yep.
Because of how closely it is to Google's announcement.
Yep. And I think that Apple's probably okay with every one of those articles starting Apple copying Google, or Apple announces follow-up to Google Stadia or something like that. Like, I think they're fine with that. So that may have been what happened there. What I'm kind of like, so Google is announcing something that honestly looks and sounds like it has the potential to legitimately replace consoles. Yeah. It is a whole new platform. It's basically just a new take on a brand new gaming console. That's what it is. Let's be honest. I don't think that's what Apple is doing. I think Apple is kind of going to do like, here's a game streaming service. It's based around iOS and tvOS or something like that. That's not replacing consoles. That's basically making it easier for casual phone gamers to get a hold of a lot of different types of games without having to spend too much money, and maybe bring down the prevalence of in-app purchases or something like that. That's kind of how I have been thinking about Apple's game streaming service.
That would make more sense with the way Apple does things.
Yeah.
They're not the type that's going to make a gaming studio. Like, they're not going to make their own games.
Right.
You wouldn't think.
Right. But at the same time,
I wouldn't think Google either. But
yeah. Well, I wouldn't have said Google. I wouldn't have said Apple would make their own streaming service either.
True.
And their own studio for that. So I don't know what Apple is doing, but they have been pushing into services hard for the past 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And so for sure, it's not outside the realm of possibility that Apple is legitimately going to talk about a Stadia competitor. Here's a brand new Apple gaming platform that is going to have top-tier AAA games, the same as Xbox and PlayStation and PC. And, I mean, that's kind of a big deal. But, we'll find out on the 25th whether or not that is the case, or as still feels a little bit more likely to me that it's based around iOS and that kind of thing. Okay. Few other things that happened this week. The release of a couple of games. I just wanted to mention really quick. Devil May Cry 5. We have talked about that. We talked about it when it was announced on the podcast. That is now out for you Devil May Cry fans. And Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, which is, I don't want to say it's Dark Souls set in feudal Japan, but it's more like Bloodborne set in feudal Japan. So all you gamers, it's a Souls game. It's made by From Software, who are the folks behind Dark Souls and Bloodborne, and it's gonna be the hardest game you play this year. In fact, I feel pretty comfortable saying that, just full stop. One other thing that came out of the GDC that I did want to mention really quick was a teaser trailer from Other Side Entertainment for System Shock 3. And Landon doesn't care about this. Wes probably wouldn't even care about this. But System Shock is the original super atmospheric first-person horror shooter. Wait
a minute. Wait. You're excited about a horror game.
I am excited about a horror game because it is really difficult to call it truly a horror game. Because it's a first-person shooter / puzzle game, and that's, it has gameplay elements in common with pretty much any other first-person shooter. You're solving puzzles, you're going through this thing, you're killing a whole bunch of people. The difference between this and everything else is the atmosphere of the thing. And System Shock puts you on a space station with a whole bunch of mutated zombie, space plague creatures and stuff like that. And System Shock 2, same kind of thing with an evil AI that's trying to kill you. Both of them had an evil AI involved, actually. But it's just really interesting to me because System Shock inspired so much in the game space. In particular, anyone who has played Dead Space, that tone of Dead Space and just the general feel of dread. It's all like the protagonist of Dead Space actually does have a lot of tools at his disposal that make it pretty easy for him to kill the space zombies he's fighting, but it's still scary as snot because just the general tone of the game is just creepy. And BioShock is the same kind of thing. Like, BioShock is terrifying, not because it's like a straight up horror game the way that like Alien Isolation is or something like that, or Resident Evil. You have these awesome weapons and the ability to do a ton of damage, and splicers go down really easy and stuff like, whatever, but it's the setting, it's the atmosphere, all of that stuff. That all started with System Shock. As far as I'm aware, the first game to really ever do something like that. And inspired a bunch of great games. The Dead Space series was really good. The BioShock franchise obviously is great. And, we're going back to it. System Shock 3. I'm actually really interested to see how it goes. And
I think you're most interested just because there's a 3 behind it.
I did just realize that all of the franchises I mentioned have third games in them. I appreciate any franchise that can get to a number 3. Freaking Valve. Of course, actually, I should probably also be getting upset with Blizzard because we still don't have a third StarCraft game.
That's true.
So,
although it took how many years between 1 and 2? 20?
That's true. That's true. And we did finally get a Diablo 3, and they did make it to Warcraft 3. So, they can count to 3. They can make it there. I have hope that StarCraft 3 will eventually happen.
And then StarCraft 2 is vaguely a third because
that's true.
They had an expansion
was kind of its own game.
Yeah.
Well, and StarCraft 3 was released StarCraft 2 was released in 3 components.
There you go.
There's the Wings of Liberty, and then the Heart of the Swarm, and Legacy of the Void. So, they've got it. It's kind of like Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Half-Life 2 Episode 2, except they went on to actually release Episode 3. So good for them. Anyways, yes, System Shock 3. I'm excited. Shodan is back. Anybody who played System Shock 2, Shodan is back in this one. Looks the same. I'm kind of... I want to play it because I played System Shock 2. I never finished System Shock 2, let's be honest. I was quite small when these games came out originally. The first one came out in 93? Or maybe 94, something like that. And the second one came out in 96 or something. So, by the time I got around to playing them, they were a few years old. But I was quite young. I did not finish either of the games because they're a little bit difficult and because I was easily terrified. But they were kind of formative. And I really do love the feel of games like that. Like the BioShock franchise in particular has captured that feel very well with the first game especially. So I want to play it. I want to go back and just experience what this is in a new take of the thing. But, I'm also kind of nervous about it. Anyways, so this is not a games conference piece of news, but Nvidia is enabling DXR for more of their graphics cards. So for anybody who doesn't know, DXR is the DirectX ray tracing functionality that's built into Windows. So yeah, it's ray tracing. Like the thing that is the huge calling card of their RTX cards, that you have to have RTX cores or RT cores on an RTX series GeForce card in order to... Apparently you don't. That's what I'm saying. So the Turing-based GTX cards, the 1660 and the 1660 Ti, are going to be able to turn on DXR with an upcoming driver update from Nvidia. And actually, some of their Pascal cards, so that's the 10 series cards, starting with the 1066 gig and up. So not like the 1050 or 1050 Ti, or not even the 1063 gig, but anything 1066 gig and above. So the 1070, the 1070 Ti, 1080 Ti, all that stuff, you're going to be able to turn on DXR and look at ray tracing. Evidently, it will suck. Like you turn it on in game, which as far as I'm aware, Battlefield 5 is still the only game that has this functionality. Wait, no, Metro Exodus does as well. Okay, one of those two games. You can turn this on. You can look at the ray tracing goodness. It's going to tank your frame rate into the toilet. Like if you're running a 1066 gig, probably 5 frames per second. But I mean, you can look at the pretty reflections, so that's nice, I guess. I think they're probably just trying to get you to upgrade to an RTX card.
Yeah.
It's like, look how pretty this is. Now, if you buy one of these cards, you'll have a good frame rate. So if you're doing that, I don't know, get the 2070. That seems to be the sweet spot in a price that is not embarrassing and actual performance good enough to play the game. I just realized that is actually all of the gaming news that I have.
All right.
The Game Developer Conference was, there was a lot that happened and a whole lot of new games and new technology talked about, but let's be honest, it was all about Stadia all week long.
Makes sense.
Which is why that's what we spent most of the time talking about.
Yeah.
And it's really funny to me that the one thing I latched onto through all the noise about Google was System Shock 3. I might be crazy, but did you have one more thing?
No.
No?
No, I did not.
Wow. Okay. Well, dear listener, I believe that brings us to the end of the podcast then. Thank you for joining us. And we appreciate all of your support and all of your awesomeness just in general. If you would like to support the podcast, you can go to our website, and there's a link that will take you to a place where you can buy sweet t-shirts. There's some new designs up on there, and obviously we would welcome any feedback you have on those designs, or on the podcast itself, or on Wes's face, which,
we should put on a
he's
t-shirt.
not here. But, yeah, we should. And then you can give us feedback on the t-shirt and Wes's face at the same time. But you can do that by commenting on our website at callingallplatforms.com or by getting a hold of us on Twitter or on Facebook. You can also watch YouTube videos on Calling All Platforms Gaming on YouTube. And you can also support us via Patreon at patreon.com/callingallplatforms. So feel free to do all of those things. Thanks so much. We'll talk at you next time.
See ya.